Hi, everyone. Lovely to see you. I'm just going to share my screen. In a moment. Let me just... It's lovely to see everybody here. Fantastic. There we are. Lovely. Okay, so I've got my second screen as per normal, and I will just launch the chat so I can see it in real time. So feel free to say where you're from, which country or which place in the UK, if you're mostly from the UK, and which languages you teach. That'd be fantastic, so we can all connect together. Over 700 people have registered for this event, and normally about half turn up. So I'm expecting a similar numbers to the last session, which was 300, 350 people, I think. And we're going to start very soon. Just let everyone come into the room. At the moment, we are, 213 people in the room right now. And it's going up and up and up, which is brilliant. And I'm just finishing my coffee. How many times do you have a coffee while presenting at the language show? Amazing. And thank you so much for those people that came along to the first session and for your lovely feedback. I really, really appreciate it. So this is completely different, this presentation from the one that I did earlier. And it's focusing on Bitmojis and mostly on Bitmojis as well as some information about Google Jamboard towards the end. There's been a real interest in Bitmojis. So when I was asked to put this presentation together many months ago, I thought it would be a good idea to share lots of different ways in which you can use Bitmojis for language learning. So we're going to be here for about 45 minutes or so. I'll give you a little bit of background for those people that weren't here for the first session or haven't seen me before. So I used to be a French teacher. I was a French teacher for 13 years, teaching secondary school level for 3 years, and then 10 years at a middle school on the Isle of Wight. And for the last 10 years or so, I've been an independent languages consultant, and normally I go around the world running training on the use of technology and language learning, as well as across the curricula. And but of course, since March, I've not been able to do any traveling, so I've had to turn my business on its head and make all my living through webinars, as well as free webinars I've been doing through the Association for Language Learning, which I talked about in the previous session. My Twitter handle is there, @JoeDale. If you're not following me already and you'd like to, feel free to follow me. I've just surpassed 30,000 followers a couple of weeks ago, which is a little bit crazy, but I have been on Twitter for 13 years. And my email address is joedale@talk21.com. So if you want to email me about anything to do with this presentation or anything around technology and languages, particularly during this time, I would love to help. I'm not just saying that, I genuinely mean it. And I'm going to share the presentation with you as well on the last slide. So you don't have to ask whether I'm going to be sharing the PowerPoint or the Google Slides presentation, what have you, because I will be. And as you can see, this session is being recorded as well. So let's jump in. I hope you find this useful, and feel free to write your comments in the chat. If you have a question, then if you could use the Q&A options, which I will deal with at the end. And if you have comments in the chat, I'll try and deal with them there and then if I can. But obviously with lots of people here, then it's going to be a bit tricky to deal with all the questions. But I think I did pretty well in the last session. So let's go for it. So this is what we're going to try and achieve in the next 45 minutes. As you can see, I'm going to be focusing on the power of Bitmojis. If you don't know what a Bitmoji is, this is an example on the screen. So essentially, you need to use the Bitmoji app, which works on iOS and on Android, to customize your own character. You can choose, everything about it: the color of the eyes, the hairstyle, and the clothes that the character is wearing. And then, as a result of that, you can then download the Chrome extension if you want to, which allows you to then drag and drop Bitmojis from Chrome straight into different resources like presentations. And lots of teachers have been using this to spice up their presentations, and it's been a lot of fun. I think it's been one of the silver linings or the ray of hope during the pandemic that people have been getting very much into Bitmoji use in their multimedia creations. Okay, and we're also going to look at Google Jamboard, which is a Google tool for obvious reasons, and it allows you to make a collaborative whiteboard. And I'm going to be sharing lots of ways in which you can be used in languages during the session. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is have a look at some ways of making talking avatars. So there's 3 apps which I'm going to talk about in this context, 2 of which are iOS only: Chatterpix Kid and PhotoSpeak. And on the next slide, we've got another one called iFunface, which works on iOS and on Android. The best Android talking avatar app that I found is iFunface, and even that one has quite a few adverts. But if you know any other ones that you'd recommend, please let me know in the chat. And if you know like a website equivalent, apart from Voki.com, which is the main one I know, then let me know as well. So I just click play, and you should be able to hear the audio. Let me just double check that I've got the audio. Yep, I'm sharing the computer sound, so this should be fine. But please let me know if you can't hear the audio. Here we go. To make this talking avatar using Chatterpix and Bitmoji, I launched the Bitmoji Chrome extension on my PC. I found an image that I liked. I dragged and dropped the image into Google Slides. I then opened up Google Slides on my iPad, went into split view with my Photos app on the right and my slides on the left. I dragged and dropped the image into the camera roll and inserted it into Chatterpix Kid, so I didn't have to add a white background as I did when I did this with PhotoSpeak. And these are the results. Thanks. Okay, so that's Chatterpix Kid. So literally it was the talking avatar talking about what I did to put this together. This is the PhotoSpeak option, which is very similar, but gives this effect. Okay, so to make this talking avatar using PhotoSpeak and Bitmoji, I launched the Chrome extension on my PC, found an image that I liked, dragged and dropped it into Google Slides, opened up Google Slides on my iPad and put my camera roll on the right hand side and Google Slides on the left hand side using split view, and then I dragged and dropped the image into the camera roll. I then inserted it into Keynote to put a white background. I then saved that as an image and put that into PhotoSpeak to then add the mouth and the eyes automatically and create this talking avatar. There we are. Just a quick point, in the chat you can see it says all panelists, but if you click on the drop down menu, it'll say all panelists and attendees. If you just keep it as it is, only myself will see the messages. So if you want everyone to see your messages, you need to click on the drop down menu and choose all panelists and attendees, and therefore everyone will be able to see everyone else's comments, if that's okay. Right, let's carry on. Right, this is the iFunface version, which is a little bit weird, but let's go for it. Okay, so this is my talking avatar with Bitmoji picture using the avatar app called iFunface, which works on iOS and on Android. So it means that if you have an Android device, this is a great way of promoting speaking skills. Likewise with iOS, when you do have more options, but you could use this as a remote way of practicing speaking skills asynchronously. Thanks for listening. There we are. So really, really easy to make a talking avatar. Of course, you could do that with a student's face or a famous picture of a celebrity, for example, but using the Bitmoji character just gives it another flavor, another type of effect, which I really like personally. Okay, so there we are. Let's carry on. Right, I would really recommend this website called Photos for Class. Oh, sorry about that. Called photosforclass.com, which is a really nice directory of images which are royalty-free or copyright-free. So it means that if you want, for example, to create a background image in a tool like Google Slides or PowerPoint or Book Creator, which I'd really recommend as well for using Bitmojis, then that's really, really easy to do. But let me just give you a flavor of what I mean. If I click on photosforclass.com, it will then come up to here. Okay, it should load in a second. I know I've got 1 or 2 tabs open, but I have got 14 gigs of RAM, so we should be okay, he says. There we are. Right, so if I click in here, let's say if I put in the word London and click Find Photos, then all the photos that come up will all be royalty-free, which is really nice. So once they start to load, there we are. Can you see? I can now download any of these images. So if I, for example, want to download this one, I click download, I click save, and then when I launch that particular image, what will happen is it will add attribution automatically. Hopefully you can see that. It's adding attribution automatically to the bottom of the photo. Okay, so there we are. Let's go back to my presentation. And so for any sort of multimedia project, that's a really, really lovely tool to use. There's also other ones such as Unsplash, Pexels, Pixabay, and a new one called PX Here, which is PXHERE for photos. And there's also one called Flat Icon, FLATICON, for clip art type images. So there we are. Right, so this is case in point. So what I've done here is I've taken an image from Photos for Class, and I've taken the Chrome extension Bitmoji to drag and drop the character into the Google Slides presentation. And then I've then added a speech bubble over the top. If I wanted to, I could also use the insert audio function, which would allow me to put in some audio so that when you click on it, it will then play the audio in the speech bubble or the thinking bubble. And I've also put a box underneath saying example text. So you could be obviously recording your voice as the student in the first person, and then the text in the box could be in the third person. So a really nice way of making a set of slides which tell their own story. For example, talking about your family, talking about your holidays, or talking about what you did at the weekend, or your ideal holiday, or whatever it might be. So that's a really, really nice way of doing that. And then you could also use some sort of screen recording software like Loom or Screencastify to run a number of slides together and then record your voice over the top as well, describing what's happening in the different pictures. So lots of flexibility. And I just think it looks cool. Okay, here's another example. I think, yeah, here's another example which should load in a second. Maybe it's not going to load. That's interesting. So if I click on Flipgrid here, I don't know why the video hasn't appeared, but never mind. If I click on Flipgrid, I can show you an example of how you can use an animation. Maybe it's my internet. Maybe I have got too many tabs open, but normally it's been absolutely fine. There we are. Right. So this just will give you a quick impression of how you can use Bitmojis in an animated way in Flipgrid. So this is when you add a picture. This picture I got from Photos for Class, and then how you can animate an image over the top. So let's press play and you'll see what I mean. Here we go. Okay, so one of the things I absolutely love to do on my holidays is go to the beach and have a nice paddle in my boat. And this is a great way of adding animation into Flipgrid. There we are. I see I've got a question here from Maite. So how can we download the Bitmoji for Windows? I can't find the way. So what you would do is you'd have the Chrome browser installed, you'd have the Bitmoji Chrome extension, and then you would find your Bitmoji character that you would like. You right click it and click Save As, and that will then download to the download folders in, and you'll see the downloads bar at the bottom of Chrome as well. That's what I do because I'm on Windows right now and I do that all the time. So that's what you would then do. But you need to have the Chrome browser. That's what, oh, it's appeared now. If I press play, there we are. I had embedded it. Let's just watch it again just to prove it does work. Thank you, Nives, for sharing the link. That's great. Here we are. Okay, so one of the things I absolutely love to do on my holidays is go to the beach and have a nice paddle in my boat. And this is a great way of adding animation into Flipgrid. There we are. So again, you could have a number of different slides all created in Flipgrid and then animate the character over the top of each one. Really simple to do. And if you go onto my YouTube channel, which is Jodale100, I've done many examples of this using Flipgrid, which you'll be able to find in your own time. Okay. Okay, so one of the things I absolutely love to do. Let's go on to the next one. Right, so another idea is to make an animated GIF, which I'm going to actually do live now, if that's okay. So if I just press exit, and I'm going to show you this live. Okay, right. So I'm going to use a website called gifmaker.me. But first of all, I'm going to create my character. So if I click on here on my Chrome extension, which will now load up. Okay, there we are. And if I now put in the word pose, which is another nice tip, if you put in pose, you get lots of Bitmojis without any text. So I now need to choose the Bitmoji characters that I want. So I want to have this one. So what you do is you right click, you click Save Image As I was suggesting in the Windows a moment ago. I then save my my character. There's one. And then I then want to choose the other one. So I want to use the one which has star jumps, which has disappeared. Where is it? There it is, that one. So then right click that and click Save Image As. You don't have to use these ones. You can use any ones that you want. But this is how this works. If I now go to a new tab and I go to gifmaker.me like this, and it will now load up. Yeah, it's definitely slower. It might be because people have got their webcams on. I don't know. No, they wouldn't because we're in the webinar version. I'm not sure. Anyway, right. Then I click Upload Images like this, and I choose the images that I want to use. So I know I've got lots of images here. Never mind. So I'm going to choose, I think it's this one. And I then want to choose the one with the star jump, which is here. There we are. And I click open. Right, so there, can you see? And it's now animated the two together as a GIF, which I just think is really cool. So then you click create GIF animation. You then click download the GIF like that, click save. There we are. And I can go back to my slideshow and I can literally drag and drop this onto my page, and there it is. And that's how you do it. Okay, hopefully that's nice and clear. Okay, right, let's go back and go to the next slide. Right, so another really nice thing about the Chrome extension is the fact that you can now write in your own text. So a while ago, I made this graphic talking about how excited I was to do this. This doesn't work in the app version at the moment, but it does work in the Chrome extension. So it means I can write in anything at all, and it will then appear as a Bitmoji. So if I just give you an idea, if I again come out of my presentation and I go to say here, and I, in fact, it doesn't actually matter. If I go, let's go back here. If I go to here, okay, and I put in the language show rocks exclamation mark. Let's see if that works. There, can you see? So I can now choose one of these that comes up, or what I can do is you can select the text, do Control X to cut it, and then Control V, and then it will give you another selection of images, and then you just choose the ones that you would like. So hopefully that's going to work now. Let me try it again. I think it's because it's just being a bit slow for some reason. Oh, it's working now. Okay, I just have to be patient. Right, so let's just wait for it to load up. And then one of the answers that will appear, I will be able to drag onto my Google slide presentation. So, dum-de-dum-de-dum-de-da, dum-de-dum-de-dum. I think I did press enter. Oh, no, I did. Okay, there we are. Okay, so let's choose this one. Yep, and there it is. It's now going onto the screen. And thank you for the help as well. It's lovely. I love it. It's great. I remember one time I sneezed and someone said, bless you in the chat, which is just great. So this is loading up now. There we are. Can you see? And that's how you do it. So you can put in your own text, which of course can be in the target language. There we are. Right, let's carry on. Okay, another really cool thing is the fact that you can change the language. I'm going to show you this live. So hopefully it will work. You can change the language of your Bitmoji. So if I click exit and I click on the Bitmoji extension like this, again, and it will then come up again. And you'll notice that all the text is in English, but I can change that in a moment. There we are. Can you see? Can you see? It's all in English, right? But what you can do is you can click on the three dots top right, and you can click settings, and you can click advanced, and you can click languages, and then you can click here, and then these are all the languages I've added. So if I want it to go into French, I click on the three dots. Of course, if you want to add a language, you click add languages and choose your language. I've added French already. And then all you do is click move to the top. Right. And now when I bring up the Chrome extension again, like this, can you see that now things are in French? Can you see? So it's saying toi hâte de te voir, etc., etc. So now I can go back into here. I can click here again, and I can drag and drop that straight onto my page. So that's how you do this in the target language, and it'll work in French, German, Spanish, what have you. And that should appear now. So this is a screenshot of a YouTube clip, which basically goes through what I've just shown you live. And there we are, done it. Yep. So then if I want to change it back, of course, all I have to do is just reverse the steps. So I go back to advanced, go back to languages, go back to here, go to English, click on there and click move to the top. And that's it. Okay. Cool. Right. Let's carry on. Loads of time. Right. Okay. So next idea. This is from the Frenchy_UK. If you're in the room right now, thank you ever so much for suggesting this idea. So the suggestion here is that you can use Bitmojis to make displays. So in this example, the Frenchy_UK has done a fantastic poster around the verbs that go with être in the perfect tense in French. And she's used the Bitmoji characters to demonstrate these important verbs, which I just thought was fantastic. So she's combining a hand-drawn picture with the characters, and obviously you could then make that into a physical poster on the wall, or you could put that into a PowerPoint or a Google Slides presentation or what have you. So I just think it's a really nice imaginative way to capture the children's imagination, basically. That's great. Okay, right. This is from, I can't actually see the reference. I'll remind myself who did this. I think giving attribution is incredibly important. So it's from Senora Strasser. Again, not sure if you're in the room right now. So again, she's using the Palm W mnemonic to help with photo cards for GCSE. And as you can see, she's using her Bitmoji character on the screen just to add a bit more spice. I can remember a few years ago, you had the same effect with adding images for The Simpsons. Anything with The Simpsons on a worksheet or PowerPoint, what have you, suddenly would catch the children's interest. And I think the equivalent nowadays is Bitmojis, but maybe I'm showing my age, I don't know. So again, just adding something to your grammar presentations can really help. If you're doing this already, please let me know in the chat. It'd be nice to see if what I'm saying is resonating with you as well. Okay, here's another idea. This is based on the work of Dr. Gianfranco Conti around listening in chunks. So this is the PowerPoint or the Microsoft way of doing this. So as you can see, well, there's different iterations of the idea, but you can see here that Rite 1 is saying start at the top of the pyramid and write down in your book exactly what you hear in each box. Remember to write in French. Typical. The further down the pyramid, the more challenging the sentence. So the idea is that you're recording your audio for each of the audio files, and the sentence, the chunks are getting longer and longer and longer. The chunks are getting more and more and more to make longer and longer sentences. So it makes it more challenging, but they're learning in chunks as opposed to in individual words or phrases, as it were. Okay, so that's that example. And then I've got a few other examples as well around the same idea. So this is another Microsoft way of doing it. This is from Simo Grav, who I think is Simona is her first name. So you can see here, she's described as from chunk to sentence. Listen and write what you hear. The sentence gets longer each time. Again, I've given the references here. I've also put the link to her file, which she shared on Twitter. And so this will come up right now. So this is the downloadable file, which will come up. While that's doing that, I'll just check if there's any comments in the chat. Yeah, that's lovely. All good so far. Yep. So as you can see, you can download this. You have permission to do that. And yeah, it just goes through how you set this up. So you could download this and then record your own audio, basically, which is incredibly kind of Simo Grav to do this for us, which is great. Okay. If I go to the next one, this is an explanation of how you can interpret the use of listening pyramids. So as you can see, Simo Grav here is talking about the fact that she's sharing the file. Claire Wilson is asking, how do you use these? They look great. And then she goes into a bit of detail. As you can see, it's saying listening task, talking or writing. The idea is starting from a short chunk and adding more words to expand sentences. With more able students, you could be used to encourage talking. And then here, Frau Basto is saying, I do mine as listening tasks. I do extended sentences for year 7. I have done a very short paragraph that is chunked, and students write on mini whiteboards and only add new information. They hear each chunk twice. At the end, I reveal the answers and students check each chunk. Hope this makes sense. So that's really, really lovely, I think, seeing the MFL Twitterati sort of sharing ideas, making sure everyone understands the different ways of using this, which is just fantastic, I think. Okay, this is a Google Slides way of doing the same thing. So here, Miss Reed Spanish, who works at New Battle High School in Scotland, is using the insert audio feature in Google Slides, which has only been around for a while. I seem to remember mentioning it for the first time at last year's language show when we all had the opportunity of meeting together in London, which was lovely. So here you can see she's written listening pyramid, start at the top and write what you hear. The sentence gets more complex each time. So these are text boxes, so they could be writing on the text boxes on the slides if you wanted to. If you had like a Google Classroom set up and you gave a copy to each student individually as an assignment, that you could do it that way. You could do the same thing in PowerPoint as well. And then you could then write in here, or they could write it in their exercise books if they prefer, or as they say in Scotland, in their jotters. Now, on this point, I thought I would go into a bit more detail about inserting audio into Google Slides. So what you do is you need to record some audio some way. I would recommend the online voice recorder option, which is what I demonstrated in the first session that I did today. It works on all devices, it's completely free, and you can create an MP3 automatically, which is what you need for the insert audio into Google Slides option. So you record your audio, you then upload it into Google Drive, and you then have to make it what's called a shareable link. So if you right-click the file and you click Get Link, and you change it from restricted to either anyone in the domain, or anyone in the school, or anyone with the link. And if you do that, then other people will be able to listen to it when you give them access to it. Another shortcut is you can upload the audio into the same folder. So you then right-click the folder and make it a shareable folder. And that way you don't have to do that every single time for the for individual files. You just put everything into the one folder. I know on the Google Classroom for MFL Teachers Facebook group, which Samantha Broom set up recently, which has over 1,500 members, I think, that they talked a lot about this, about the fact that the children couldn't hear the audio, and it's because they had to work out the permissions for that particular file. So that's what you do. And then once it's in Drive, you open up Slides and you click Insert and Audio, and then you insert the loudspeaker icon into your slide. So you can see here, you click on, I would recommend clicking on the Recent option when you're in Drive from Slides, select the file, and then you can then insert it straight in. And it looks like this. This is like the loudspeaker icon. But another thing you can do is you can right-click that loudspeaker icon, and it will give you the option to replace image, which I'm going to demonstrate live in a second. So this is Mark Connolly, who's a language teacher from the States. And this is literally what I've done. So I have replaced the loudspeaker icon with his image, just to show you how to do that. What you do, let me come out of my presentation and just go full screen. There we are. If I right click this, you can see that it says replace image. So I could click, for example, replace image, upload from computer, and then I can choose one of my Bitmojis, which is, let's choose this one, and I click open. Okay, and there it is. That means that when you click on that character, the Bitmoji, it will then play the audio. Yeah, can you see? So if I now click exit, now I've seen a really nice example of that in the Bitmoji Craze for Educators group. Let me just undo that to put Mark back in his place. In the Bitmoji Craze for Educators group. So what the teacher had done is she had created a number of different slides in a Bitmoji classroom with her Bitmoji character on each slide. And if you click on the character, it gives the clue in the target language, and then you have to find out what the answer is on that page. So it might be, for example, she's looking for a date. So a calendar is on the screen. You have to click on the calendar to see what the date is that she's looking for. Or maybe she's talking about how many children she has, and maybe she's got a photograph on her desk. You click on the photograph to go full screen, and then you can see that. So that's a really nice idea. And if I now actually click on this image, you'll hear Mark talking for a minute and a half about how you can use the insert audio function in Google Slides. Here we go.
Hi there, my name's Mark Connolly. I'm at SR_Connolly on Twitter. I saw recently that Google announced the ability for users to embed MP3 or WAV audio files right from Drive into Slides. That's pretty exciting. That's something I've tried to do awkwardly for the last few years, but now the ability to do it native right in Drive and Slides is pretty exciting, like I said. For individual students, this means tracking speaking samples throughout the year. It could mean narrating scenes or picture sequences akin to old AP exams. It could mean creating sort of interactive, clickable images to describe school or family or city scenes. It could also be an audiobook, whether that's an interpretive reading, a sort of audible version of something, or it could be an original narrative, which would be even more interesting. At the class level, they can do all the same. They can contribute to larger projects. They could even contribute perhaps to more complex narratives, an original story, even a choose your own adventure. It could be a point or counterpoint on a hot button topic or a topic that students care about. I'd also be interested in creating interactive listening activities where students have to match an audio to a scene or vice versa. So those are just a couple of ways that I've thought of before the more broad release of this function, ways that I've thought of bringing this into my classroom.
There we are. So big thank you to Mark for that. He also did a Tilt webinar for us, Technology Language Teaching, which I talked about in my first session, all about ways in which you can use audio, which is really cool. Okay. Another idea is to use Bitmoji displays. So this is from Pauline Grand 1. So this is supposed to be what people think about teachers. So what parents think I do, what society thinks I do, what my friends think I do, what my students think I do, what I like to think I do, what I actually do. I'm sure everyone can resonate with this as well. And thank you so much for all the lovely comments in the chat. I really, really appreciate it sincerely. Thank you. So there's just another idea about displays using Bitmojis. This was from MFL Kumtor, I think it's pronounced. I do apologize if I've mispronounced that. So MFL CWMTAWE, which is obviously a department in Wales. And the department were tweeting these regularly, and I asked permission to use this, and they said no problem at all. So you can see here they're just sharing interesting things around language, around sort of funny words or yeah, well, you can see on this, or funny expressions, etc. Tongue twister, obscure word but never use, a word you'll never forget, etc. I just thought that was a really, really lovely idea, using pic collage with Bitmojis. Okay, another really nice idea, again from the MFL Twitterati, using Bitmoji reward stickers. So here you've got tweets by Miss R, Mrs. Sherman MFL, and also there's a link to Danielle Warren's fantastic website talking literally step by step on how to make your own Bitmoji reward stickers. So the idea is that you would then print your own and then put them straight into your book or the books, the jotters, to show the work that children have done. Maybe not COVID safe at the moment. I don't know if you're allowed to touch the books, or if you do touch them, you have to wait 48 hours. So it might not be a COVID safe appropriate idea right now, but it is a really good idea, I think. And you could do the digital equivalent as well, of course. And then put those into, say, Google Keep and drag them into Google Docs or Slides, which I talked about in my first session. This is quite cool. This is if you want to make your Bitmoji dance. I give instructions on the next page, but basically what I did was I inserted I inserted different images into a Google Slides presentation. I then right-clicked each image and clicked the rotate option, which allows you to rotate it 180 degrees. I then ran all the slides together while I was recording the screen on my iPad. I put the video into an app called Image Play, which is IMG PLAY, which allows you to then sort of edit it and turn it into a GIF. And then I put that GIF into this slide. And that's how you can make your Bitmoji dance if you fancy a bit of dad dancing. And then, as I just said, these are the instructions, because Elton German said, thank you for posting your keynote lecture from Saturday's German Day. How do you make your Bitmoji dance? What is this magic? And so I've literally gone through what I've just said, but in text form. So give it a go. It's quite fun. And I think it's the sort of thing that children would like. Here's some breaking news as well, which I created using the classtools.net breaking news generator. Dad dancing spotted at the language show 2020. And I just put the multiple same GIF at the bottom there. So again, for like breaking news using this generator, why not include a Bitmoji? Lots of fun. Or you could include your own face as well, but the Bitmoji one just adds a bit more fun. And then this is called the Patinator app. So again, I just had this inspiration this morning. That's just an individual image, just repeated many times, animated. And it's just like, again, it's just a bit of fun, really. So it's a free app for iOS called Patinator. Okay. Right, another idea that lots of people have been playing around with is the Bitmoji Classroom, and that's the Bitmoji Creator Educators Facebook group that I talked about. So these are all examples from language teachers. So we've got Mademoiselle Ingram, Hazalita_UK, P. Morel, MFL, Trekkie P, and so on and so forth. So essentially the idea that during lockdown, people were making their own Bitmoji classrooms, and then the different images on the screen, for example, the Q for Quizlet, or the Oak icon there for the Oak Academy resources for different languages. You'd click on those and it would take you to that resource. So in other words, you share the one slide with the students and everything is then all together in the one place. In my first session, I talked about the top tips shared by the MFL Twitterati. That was one of their top tip of keeping everything organized in the same place. And Bitmoji Classrooms works really nicely for that, I think. So again, you can click on those tweets and get in touch with the people that have made these and ask them exactly what they did. Right, this is again, it's a bit of fun. So I made this a few months ago. I've just updated it for the language show. So this one I've just made, I think, about 5 different slides in Google Slides, and I've moved the GIF character. I've added a new Bitmoji character in a different place on each slide. I then run them all together, recorded the screen, as I mentioned before, and then use the Image Play app in order to make this animated GIF. So some people are using these as Google Classroom banners, but you could just use this in a presentation if you wanted. So that's my own sort of little Bitmoji classroom, if you like. Yeah, as I've said, Jane, already, I'm sharing the whole presentation with you, so you're going to get the whole thing on the last slide. So don't worry, it's all good. Okay. Right. This is a world exclusive because this is actually my wife, who is a language teacher, and she has had a go at making a Bitmoji classroom. And this is using ThingLink as opposed to a Google slide presentation. And I'm just going to take you straight to the link right now. And I'm going to play you her voice, which is very exciting, isn't it? So if I click here, you should be able to hear some audio in a second, or is it going to play? Oh, that's a bit disappointing. There should be some audio. Why is it not playing? Hang on.
Welcome to your new classroom. Each week I'll put the link into your Google Classroom. The objectives are on the board, and the age-related expectations you're covering are also there. Just click on the I symbol. Any green tags are activities you should all do. The yellow...
So you get the idea. Yeah, that's enough. And then if you click here, for example, you've got these different icons, which will then take you to different activities. So this is a starter activity. So I click on matching game. That will take me to, I think this one is learning apps, if I remember correctly. Oh, it's being slow today, the connection, never mind. But it should take me to the learning apps. Yeah, learning apps, and that's going to come up now. There we are. So you just basically match up the activities using the Spanish. I'm not going to try that right now, but you get the idea. And then again, you've got these different icons here. So if I click here, for example, you've got a Quizlet game and so on and so forth. Okay, so you can do this in ThingLink. You can do it in PowerPoint as well, but most people are using Google Slides. Another idea is to use Bitmoji virtual adventures. So this is from Leanne Adderley. She did a fantastic virtual adventure to Germany, to Munich and Berlin. Again, she's shared the link there for free. So essentially what you can do, she's encouraging you to do this, is to take a presentation, to copy it, and then just add in your own items. But I think this has been really inspirational. And because children can't travel, why not do a virtual adventure instead? Really, really nice. So thank you to Leanne for her inspiration. There's been lots of other people that have done similar things. If you look on the various MFL Facebook groups, you'll find other examples. This is Esmeralda Salgado, who is Botones Salgado on Twitter, and she again has been an absolute star during the pandemic. She created a Padlet, and she asked people to post ideas onto that Padlet, some of which include virtual trips. So if you just click on some of these links, you'll get some other ideas of ways of going to France, Germany, and Spain virtually. So big thank you to Esmeralda for that. Another big tip I would suggest is doing a search for MFL Twitterati plus a keyword. So you could put in, for example, Bitmoji or virtual adventure. And if you include MFL Twitterati, then you'll find lots of really cool hits over, say a 10-minute search while you're having a cup of coffee. You'll find some gems every single time you do that. This is an example of how you can also pull together a resource of lots of people sharing their Bitmojis. So I asked the question, could you please add a Bitmoji of yourself, standing with no text and search pose, and one for your Bitmoji face? I'll just give you a quick flavor of what happened. I think in a couple of days, I had over 100 people in the MFL Twitterati sharing their resources. And there's my example. And there we are. And I just go through and just show all these lovely people who shared their Bitmojis in my presentation, and I was then able to take those images and put them into different slideshows and make different resources with them, some of which hopefully I will show you, if we don't run out of time, in a second in Jamboard. Right, let's go back to this one. There we are. So Jamboard, case in point. So that was all the Bitmoji ideas. Then with Jamboard, this is from Leslie, should I say? Leslie Millen on Twitter, who I think is with us right now. So thank you so much for your inspiration, Millen. Really appreciate it. So this is an example of using Jamboard in class. So as I said, it's a collaborative whiteboard that works with Google. So all the students, because if you're not allowed to move around your classroom, which lots of teachers aren't allowed to do, then this is a way of being able to interact, collaborate all together without people leaving their seats, which is cool. And not ideal, but it's better than not having that sort of situation. Okay, now Jamboard allows you to have up to 20 frames per jam, as it's called. So what I did was I came up with 60 different ideas on how Jamboard could be used in languages, and I'm just going to give you a flavor of this right now. So this should now load up in a second, and once it's loaded up, I'll be able to talk through. So the first idea is using the tool Screencastify. So on the Jam, you can add different objects. You could add pictures, you can add text, you can add shapes, and then as a result of that, you can then move these things around the screen while recording the screen at the same time, and then make that into a video, as it were. And that could be used for a flip learning idea or a grammar explanation, and so on and so forth. The next one is using a website called Xwords. So you can make this sort of like free crossword for a starter activity, practicing whatever you want to practice. And then the idea is that the children will click on the pen tool and then write the answer in on the screen. Next one, the drag and drop idea, which I've shown you already. So that's all good. Okay, so literally, let me just demonstrate again. If I just click here in the Bitmoji, I can then take a character from the Bitmoji and literally drag and drop it onto my Jam, which, it is slow today. It was much faster in the first session, I must say. There we are. So if I, for example, take this one that I showed you a moment ago, I can, there we are, I can put it in there. And it also supports animated GIFs, which is fantastic, as you can see there, which is really, really cool. I just want to sort of jump forward a little bit, show some other ideas. That's the photos for class 1, which I talked about earlier. So again, for the photo card activity, you could put the picture in here. You could put in different questions in here as well, get the children to write on them. Or if you're doing it remotely, they could obviously use the microphone to say the ideas. This is the snipping tool from Windows, which allows you to grab any sort of text on a web page and drop it straight into Jamboard. If you've got Google Classroom, you could create a Jam for each individual student very, very easily. This is using the stickers. So this is like a well-being activity whereby they put their names according to how they're feeling on the arrow, and so on and so forth. I haven't got lots and lots of time here, so I just want to show you a few other ideas. This is using the flat icon pizza or the drawing icon, the drawing feature here, then adding in the sticky notes, which is really easy to do to match them up. This is using Google Drawing to make this sort of like frame. And then you could be doing like a drag and drop sorting activity with subject, pronoun, auxiliary verb, past participle for the perfect tense. That's just a mind map. Again, really, really simple to do. Sorting activity, maybe for a debate. So different points of view on either side. Again, screenshot of a text with the questions and answers, and so on and so forth. I just want to go back and show you the second one, if that's okay, because that's got a few more ideas. So that was the first 20. Then let's just show you. Yeah, that's quite nice. This is using a website called remove.bg, which allows you to remove the background. You can then drag the picture into your Jamboard and then add a speech bubble as a way of introducing the lesson, maybe. This one is suggested doing a register whereby they all drag and drop their characters next to their names. Those are just made up names. Emoji check-in, so they drag their name. So these are all individual sticky notes. They drag their name according to how they're feeling. That's battleship, so classic battleships activity. You'd have to create 2 slides with the same battleships on, and then obviously they're not allowed to look at each other's frames, and then they could play battleships remotely. I really want to show you the Guess Who one there. Guess Who. So as I mentioned earlier with the Bitmoji slideshow, I made this Guess Who activity using Keynote on my iPad, and then I put this into Jamboard. So the idea is that you have to then guess, who has got blue eyes and brown hair and what have you. So that's quite cool. And another classic one, practicing the time, and so on and so forth. So I've only got a couple of minutes to go, so I better finish now. There's also the iOS app version, which has a few more functionality, a few more functions. You've got this option, which allows you to write text on the screen with your finger, and it will turn into digital version. This is in the app version on the iOS and the Android app. This is for shapes, which now has come to the web version. Had an update recently, but now you can draw a circle and it will make a perfect circle, or a square and it will make a perfect square. This one is using like an auto draw feature, whereby you can draw a picture of a cat, and it will then suggest a professional looking piece of clip art, which you can then tap on, and it will then turn that into an actual piece of a nice professional looking clip art piece of a cat. If you go to autodraw.com, you can see how it works. Autodraw.com, free website for turning hand-drawn pictures into clip art. Jamboard is now included within Google Meet, which is really cool. So you can just click on whiteboard, open a jam, and the link of that jam is automatically added into the chat. So you can use it now in if you're using Google Meet, which is really cool. And just a thought, if you found this interesting, I know there's been lots of lovely comments in the chat. Clearly, I can't, do any traveling at the moment. So if you'd like me to support you remotely by doing a webinar for you as a department or an association or a district, whatever it might be, do get in touch. Here are 18 example sessions that I can offer a lot on everything you can imagine about remote teaching. Thank you so much for the lovely feedback. I do really, really appreciate it. And here is the presentation, which I will put in the chat for you right now. So it's is.gd/language show 1. And there we are with a minute to go. So let me see if there are any other questions for me to answer. But thank you so much. I do really appreciate your kind comments. So the Guess Who one, if that's what you mean, Alison, then it did take me quite a long time to do that, but you can just copy my presentation and just use it. That's not a problem at all. Yeah, I think people are saying lots of nice things. Right. Right, so Jennifer's saying, would Jamboard only work if the pupils had their own device? So you could model it just using the teacher's device, but obviously the idea is that it's collaborative. So if you have each student having their own device, or maybe students working in small groups, I don't know if that would be appropriate in a COVID safe environment, but certainly if they're doing that at home, if they had their own device, then that would work nicely. Or you could just use it for one device to model it. iOS is the operating system for Apple for iPhones and iPads. All right, let's see if there's any other questions. We are sort of bang on time now. So I think, is there a snipping tool for Mac? Yeah, so for Mac laptops, there's a keyboard shortcut, which off the top of my head is Command Shift 4. If you want to do a screen grab of a particular section, Command Shift 4, I think that's right. But there's definitely a keyboard shortcut. Okay, I can't go through any more questions. If you have anything else you want to ask me, do ask me on Twitter. I'm more than happy to reply to any other. Wow, there's 73 new messages. Okay, so I think that's everything. Okay, so thank you ever so much, everybody. I'm going to click the. Oh, sorry, there are some. Well, okay, 11 questions in. Let me do this very, very quickly. So could you please let me know the app used for the photos, Joe? So the website is Photos for Class. Photos for Class. Yes, you can do this in PowerPoint, almost certainly, just in a slightly different way. I've shared the presentation with you already, so you've got that. You should get the recording automatically, that's my understanding, if you've registered. I am going to provide you with the slides. I've said that already. That's good. Yeah, for the first, that's a good point. For the first set of slides, just put in the same as I put here, but put language show 2 instead of language show 1, and you'll get the slides from this morning. Yep, that's it. Wow, we did it. Okay, so I'm going to click leave now. Thank you ever so much, everybody. Take care, stay safe, and if you want any help at all, particularly if you'd like to book me for a webinar, let me know, and I'd love to hear from you. But do take care, everyone, in all seriousness, because you're amazing, and I really appreciate all your comments. Thank you so much. Bye for now.